All right, everyone, welcome back. This week we have another foam roll exercise, and so let's talk a little bit about why we might want to do this particular exercise. So many times people are struggling, and we see this a lot in dancers, we see it a lot in golfers. Really, we see it in a lot of people, just kind of in general. What's interesting is that when you take a look at what happens with runners, they lose the ability to kind of run in a straight line, right? So they actually lose the ability to internally and externally rotate their hips. So this week we're dealing with external rotation of the hip. You can see that the hip is at 90 degrees. I'm on my forearms here, and the hip is fully externally rotated. And so I'm using this foam roll to release, to bring some kind of mind-body awareness to that inner thigh muscle, that adductor muscle that can get tight and can actually hold you back from being able to externally rotate that hip, from being able to abduct the hip, from being able to get that hip away from midline. And so this first portion is kind of long and slow. I'm getting kind of that mid portion of the adductor, and then the second portion right here, I'm much closer to the kind of origin of that adductor muscle, way up near the hip crease, where I'm loosening up that connective tissue along with that kind of the beginning of the muscle before it heads all the way down and attaches at the knee. And this position is a little bit extreme. So if you are having hip tightness, if you are having adductor tightness, hip tightness, you know that you've lost external rotation. You know that you've lost the ability of that hip to kind of reach out away from midline. Then you may want to actually take a much less aggressive approach, lay down on the side. So in this case, it would be my left side. I would want to lay down on the left side, maybe bring this hip into a little less of an extreme position, a little less hip flexion, maybe somewhere around 45 degrees. Now, the other thing you'll notice here is that as I'm reaching that hip, I'm actually finding more hip external rotation, right? So the pelvis, there's more space between the thigh and the trunk as I reach that knee away from my body toward the wall. So we're improving hip external rotation. We're bringing some mind-body awareness to the adductor muscle. We're increasing the ability of that hip to move away, to abduct away from midline. So if you have hip tightness, if you know that you've lost hip external rotation, that hip is stiff or even painful, you know that you've got a tight adductor and you're wondering more about this exercise, other exercises that might help improve hip external rotation, then please reach out, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you more about this. As I said, this position here is a little bit extreme for people who are actually having hip tightness, who are having that adductor muscle tightness. So we want to make sure that you're doing it correctly and that it is modified so you don't injure yourself. As always, thanks again for watching. Please reach out with questions, and I will see you here again soon.